Biff, when I go to Brad, let's do top of the morning, introing him.
Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Introducing our new redesigned 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content, and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tab, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together we will get through this.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday. A mix of sun and clouds, a cooler day with a high near 76. We're back to about 60 for the overnight low. Under partly cloudy skies, partly cloudy conditions around for your Saturday with highs in the mid-70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
In the year 1898, Marconi sent his first radio message across the English Channel.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Let's have a tune. I'm sick of this silence.
There's nothing wrong with being fun and popular and just giving people what they want.
This is not radio fantasy camp. We're on the air here.
You seem happy this morning.
Is it Friday already?
Friday.
All I'm doing is getting on the air. The revolution will be broadcast.
How about Friday?
What's this?
Did you ever hear of a thing called radio?
Thank God it's Friday!
It's show time.
Celebrating the 100 days of summer, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
67 degrees, cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 69 and foggy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. We are going to look for a little better day today than yesterday, improving conditions throughout the day, pleasant weather heading into the weekend, high today around 77 degrees. Coming up today, intense storms rolled through the area last night, including at least 2 tornadoes. WTRF TV's Zach Petty will help us to review and look at what we can expect coming into the weekend and whether we expect any more of the tough stuff or not. West Virginia State Senator Randy Smith asked Governor Justice to resign. He got an interesting response. Meanwhile, the governor grows more concerned about the rise in COVID and the Delta variant, and he's talking more about that. Brad McElhenney in shortly to talk to us about all of this. In less than a week, a rumor has turned into a major game changer for college football conferences. WTRF TV's sports director Scott Nordy joins us to discuss the latest moves and how it may impact WVU. What do you think WVU ought to do? Where should WVU end up as the conferences realign? You can vote in our conference realignment opinion poll over at watchdognetwork.com. Where do you think WVU should end up? Newspaper editor John McCabe and I have the Friday roundtable review of top local news from throughout the week, including our comments on the mayor's State of the City speech from earlier in this week. And as always, on Friday, we'll head into the weekend with the Friday Funnies, including the latest from late night comedy, some stand-up comedy, and we'll have the week's entertainment news. That's what I've got to offer you. What have you got to offer me? Phone lines are always open at 304-232-8255 and the text line at 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Biffy here at 7:12 in the morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. It was a doozy of a night last night. Man, those storms were intense.
Yeah, depending on where you were.
We didn't have any actual problems here, but I mean, it was pouring down. We had one flash of lightning and thunderclap that I swear I thought was going to hit the house. I mean, it just was so loud and so close and so bright. And the rains came torrentially down, and the street was getting, flooded. I mean, in the sense that the water was just rushing down the street. In our neighborhood, at least, no real problems. But, man, I'm watching Big 7 throughout the evening and on social media. When I saw those pictures, a couple of pictures of tornadoes, man, they were actually tornado-looking things. Usually, locally, someone will see a picture that says, there's a tornado, and it's kind of, dark clouds swirling. I mean, these were tornadoes. You could tell they were twisters like we'd see in a movie. I mean, it was just a powerful storm last night. I don't know that we've had any serious injuries. I know we've had some damage. I know some roads have been closed. I know some homes have been damaged. But boy, it was a doozy. And you got to give Zach Petty credit. He called it and correctly. He said yesterday morning we were going to have two separate intense storms. Right about noon, I was driving up towards the West Sports Bar, going to go up and have lunch with an old friend of mine at Charlie's place. And just as I started going up the road, man, the skies opened up, and Gully Watcher number 1 came down. So intense, I almost thought I'd have to pull off the road and couldn't go any further. Then that all went away when I was having lunch, got home, sun was out, all was fine. And then later in the evening, round number 2 came by, and man, those storms were just something major. Extensive damage to some homes, as I mentioned. No, as far as I know, nobody harmed. But boy, was it an intense, super intense storm last night. And literally, at least that I am aware of, 2 actual tornadoes. And we often get tornado warnings, but these are 2 actual tornadoes caught on video. And I think at least one of them touched down. Where was that, Biffy? It was sort of...
Wintersville.
Wintersville? Okay.
Wintersville and New Athens were the...
New Athens, I was thinking of.
Were the 2 areas, yeah.
Yeah, I know it. They were 2 distinct and absolutely clear to see tornadoes. And I know at least one of them literally touched down, so...
Yeah, because the fire chief in Wintersville actually said that this morning on the news that some of those houses that got damaged are probably going to be, people can't go back. And there was about 5 or 6 of them that had enough damage that they're probably not going to be able to go back and live there.
Phone kept blowing up with all the different kinds of alerts, severe weather warning, then tornado warnings or alerts, and then for a while we had a flood alert. It was just one of those nights, right? But the folks at the Big 7 were keeping you informed, so you would have had a good chance to stay on top of everything. I love watching Dr. Dave, explaining things. They look at that map and they can see what's happening. You can see right here the swirling tornado activity. How do you see that? I see nothing but a patch of red. How do you see that it's right there? But they did a good job of that. Zach is in about half an hour, as always, and we'll talk to him more about that, the big storms last night. And do we have any more on the way? And I think the short answer is today it's not going to be anything like that. But let's let Zach give us all the details coming up in just a bit. 7:16 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I guess that really was our, the weather was top of the morning, if you will. But our top of the morning story, as I'm claiming it to be today, has to do with a couple of stories coming out of Charleston.
Top of the morning to you. These are the big stories making news and conversation today on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Brad McElhenney is with us from Metro News to talk about a couple of these stories. Brad, the governor yesterday was, he's getting concerned about this rise in the COVID variant, I guess.
He is. So much so that at one point he used some fairly graphic imagery to describe his reaction to some of the numbers going up. And we won't share them here. We'll talk about them during the commercial break. But
well, no, this is when he said that after he talked with Dr. Marsh privately, and he told him about concerns of the Delta variant. I assume this is what you mean. The governor said, "Well, I had to go pee and puke."
And he said he excused himself from Marsh and Hoyer and had to take care of some things because his body had
You gotta love his colorfulness, if nothing else. That's for sure.
I mean, we're talking about it, so here we are. So, I mean, but he had reason to be concerned. The number of Delta variant cases identified in West Virginia went to 100 yesterday, and that was a little more than double what it had been before. I mean, I think what we all think is there's got to be more out there. These are just the ones identified, but to take that big of a jump was pretty concerning. And West Virginia's other numbers are not what they were at the peak, but on the rise. The hospitalizations, the people in the ICU, total positive cases overall. So all of that going up. And, boy, the governor, frankly, I think is in a pickle. People are not in the mindset that they want to go back to masks. If the governor were to institute another lockdown, I think not only would he have to run to the bathroom, he'd have to run out the back door and keep on going.
There'd be sticks and torches coming after him at that.
Right. So, I mean, what do you do? He's offered all kinds of warnings, both the carrot and the stick, to get your vaccination. You can win $1 million, or as the governor puts it, you can die. So what is left? So he did announce a few more sort of initiatives, and I guess I'm still processing them, is what I would say. I basically understand what it is he wants to do, but I'm thinking through whether it moves the needle or not. And I think others are there too. The front page story at the Gazette-Mail today was sort of like, well, it's getting worse, and the governor didn't do much of substance about it, meaning that he didn't institute a mask mandate or anything else. But the editorial page in the Gazette-Mail says, all right, the governor recognizes we've got an issue here. He seems focused. One of the things he's doing is moving the briefings back to 3 days a week. So the editorial page is, sort of saying, all right, he's on target, while the front page is like, he's not really there. So, I mean, that's the situation we're in. He was much more somber. The tone changed. But are the things that he proposes as responses really going to do things that address the issues here?
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess still processing is a good phrase. I read through the things he talked about. I'm still processing. I'm not quite sure what any of this is going to do. He is proposing that those who are in long-term nursing care facilities or 60 plus have the ability to be tested for antibodies, which would be the first in the nation testing of that, perhaps in preparation for the possibility of the need of a booster shot. He seems to clearly acknowledge, I did a lot of reading on this yesterday, this Delta variant is a bigger problem than I think we thought, and it even has the potential for people who are vaccinated to be to catch it and to be if you're vaccinated, you don't get the worst effect of it, but it can cross over into the vaccinated as well. I mean, it's a real serious problem. And the governor, to his credit, certainly seems to acknowledge it. You're right. When I watched the video yesterday, boy, he looks scared maybe isn't the right word, but he looks very, very concerned.
He does. So if you're out there in listener land and you either have a Washington Post subscription or maybe have a freebie story on their website, the one to read is their coverage of how the CDC came up with this week's recommendation that if you're in a high-intensity COVID area, that you return to masking up in public places, because the description of just how powerful the Delta variant is, and how, unfortunately, it can sweep through vaccinated people just as easily as unvaccinated people, is really worth your read. I mean, kind of a horror story, but I think we all agree that if you are vaccinated, there's great value in that, because you're probably going to come up with a lessened version of the symptoms of COVID-19. It's less likely to put you in the hospital or be the worst symptoms. Unfortunately, you may be infectious. So, we're reaching the point again where we may be disrupted. I'm vaccinated, and if I were to come down with COVID-19, unfortunately, I probably wouldn't be able to go to work. I would worry about my kids. Their school year may be disrupted if they were to test positive. They're vaccinated too, but then if you test positive, even with a mild case, would you have to miss 10 days, 2 weeks of school? Because you could be spreading it potentially to unvaccinated people. It's really unfortunate. But yeah, a couple of things the governor did.
Your point about that WAPO story, by the way, is a good one. I've been sort of taking the mental approach, and I've been wondering about this mask mandate, the CDC's revision in their mask suggestions. And but then when I read that Washington Post story about how the Delta variant tore through one particular town, including those who were vaccinated, and the impact of it, I began to realize, what the governor called it yesterday. I've seen the enemy, he said, referring to the Delta variant, and it's really pretty bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of military talk out of the governor, and he talked about it like he sees the enemy and he's got his gun cocked and he knows it's coming. So here we are. Boy, I mean, there was such a sense of freedom at the beginning of summer. My family went to the beach. I went to the movies a couple times, sat around people, began going to restaurants or wherever, just not worrying about it. Really nice. And, unfortunately, here we are again, where there were some warnings that we as a society may be if we didn't get vaccinated at a pretty rapid pace. And fewer than 50% of West Virginians still are vaccinated fully. West Virginia does better on the sort of higher end of the age scale, which is great, because those are people considered more vulnerable. But unfortunately, younger people were told the entire time, well, you're not going to suffer the worst effects. You're probably not going to have the worst symptoms. And, it seems like the younger end of the spectrum took that to heart and is lagging on the vaccinations. But now would be a great time to do it.
Yeah. The governor had said a month or so ago on one of the national interview shows he was on, that when he was asked, what's going to finally get people to get vaccinated, he said, I think people have to die, which sounds awfully harsh. I'm beginning to think he's right, though. What seems to have turned the corner for some people and in some areas is folks who are getting it. We're seeing more and more stories on the national media of folks that refused to get the vaccine and now are going, oh my God, who now have serious COVID and are saying, my God, I wish I had gotten the vaccine. Talk show host Phil Valentine, who I know Phil a little bit from Nashville, very conservative host, and had been arguing on his radio show, you don't need the vaccine unless you're in a special circumstance. This is all part of the government plot, blah, 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 blah. Phil's got the vaccine, or has got COVID, and is in really bad shape, and is now saying to his listeners, go get it, I made a mistake. So I guess the governor maybe was right. The only thing that's going to turn people around, perhaps, is when this really becomes bad news, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And there are others in the sort of conservative end of the spectrum. Mitch McConnell, I believe, is using campaign funds to run advertisements in Kentucky, urging people to get vaccinated. So among some, well, and I don't mean to indicate that McConnell was ever skeptical or undercutting the vaccination effort. I don't think he was, but he clearly is taking it seriously enough to try to move the needle in Kentucky. And so you're getting some of that, just people realizing that this, despite what we all felt in April and May, this is not over, and people need to continue taking it very, very seriously.
Earlier this week, I started watching the map again. I forgot we even had a map. When we no longer had to worry about it in terms of whether we could go to school or not, have a ball games or not. I kind of forgot that there even was a map, but the DHHR still does this COVID-colored map. And boy, this week, every single day this week, that map has looked worse and worse. It started out as a beautiful spread of green pastures, and now it's a variegated map once again. I think we even are back to one county is in red again, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, and forgive me if you're a resident of the county and I get this wrong, but I think it's Webster County.
I think it's Webster as well, yeah.
And what's going on there? I mean, it's a pretty rural county, but right in the middle of the state. I guess it could be that the population is so low that any particular number of COVID cases would drive the ratio up.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. The rest of the state used to be pretty solid green in map language, and now a lot of yellow, some gold. If we were still using the map for school, you'd be looking at gold, and you'd be worried about your weekend football games coming up.
Exactly.
But it's on the rise, and the governor referenced that too. I mean, it's a visual that he's back to looking at.
Marshall County in our area is in gold now. Ohio County has dropped to orange, I believe it is. Brooke and Hancock are yellow, so we have no green here in the Northern Panhandle. We're out of the green range for sure. And both Ohio and Marshall have dropped a degree over the last couple of days. So in our area, it's a doozy as well. So the governor is going to be. You'll get to see the governor more often this way, Brand. He's going to have an extra COVID briefing now.
Oh man, that's amazing because among us reporters, the issue has been, will there be in-person access? But a different issue has been, will these go away all along? Because frankly, from a news perspective, they're a little bit repetitive. They're kind of incremental. Like, they have been. These numbers are slightly up. We're a little more worried about this. So there was a question last week: are we even going to keep on having them? And so now the governor has gone from 2 to 3, but he feels like he's got to communicate. And I will say that I have become more attuned to the COVID parts of the briefings over the last few weeks because of the Delta variant and the rising numbers. For a while, I guess I would say I was sort of on autopilot on that part of the briefing. It is a chance with your one question out of the genie bottle to ask the governor something. And I was more into the something for a while, the other stuff. But he's going to go 3 days a week, and I can imagine that some residents who have the time during the day may begin to tune in, whereas maybe they drifted away.
Right, I agree. Now, one of those other things that you guys had been asking a lot about that he hasn't been happy about the last week or so has been his personal financial problems. And one state senator, I guess, this week, and you talked to Randy Smith yesterday, I think, feels the governor's got so much on his plate, maybe it's time for him to resign. That kind of came out of the blue.
Right. Well, Randy Smith has been, he's a senator, a Republican, the same party as the governor, from Tucker County, and he has been outspoken over the years. But recent events, particularly the liens by the IRS against Justice Properties, led Senator Smith to conclude that on both ends of the spectrum, Jim Justice has his hands full, that there is a lot to get his hands around on the business side. But, we were just talking about how serious the COVID situation is and everything else in West Virginia, trying to get the economy on solid ground. So Senator Smith sent, I have seen Senator Smith be very blunt, but this letter was, to read it, considering what it was, my advice to you is to resign. I thought it was pretty polite in tone, and that would have been news in itself, I think, for a sitting senator of the governor's own party to take a shot and say, hey, man, you should resign. I think it's news. But there was another twist that the response by the governor's office didn't address any of Senator Smith's issues, but instead, for a brief moment around March, Senator Smith's grown son, R. Scott Smith, who runs his own company based in Terra Alta, but it does business in multiple states, it was briefly considered, kind of brainstormed as someone to join the State Economic Development Authority Board, and it didn't go anywhere. I mean, he sent in a resume, he briefly chatted with some people, was never fully considered, never nominated. But the governor's office sent a letter to Senator Smith saying, well, we think you're probably still mad about this, and this is affecting your judgment. Senator Smith was just beside himself with anger. First, that they had not addressed his issues, and then that his character was questioned, essentially, that he, they were saying he was out for his son. I will say the long arc of West Virginia history means you do need to be attuned to what the connections are for people who were being nominated for positions of power in the state. Right. But this one in particular was not on my radar and didn't really seem to have gone anywhere. Yet Senator Smith is being knocked around with it.
And he did not get any response to the suggestion, the polite suggestion that perhaps, given all that he has on his plate, he'd be best to resign and focus on his personal business. He didn't get any response to that at all.
No more response than you or I get. But I one thing I wonder is, is this an isolated letter by one senator, or is it the beginning of some cracks? And I can't judge that yet either. 2 summers ago, Senator Smith was one of the people, along with Mitch Carmichael and now Senate President Blair, who were expressing no confidence in the governor. And that changed in a hurry for former Senator Carmichael and former Senator Blair. So you got to keep one whiteboard going on who's aligned with who. But Senator Smith is definitely not aligned with Jim Justice.
Yeah, you answered what was be my final question, which was: do you sense any other elected officials, senators, delegates, anybody down there, kind of at least muttering the same thing, that maybe it's time for him to resign because of the pressures of his financial problems?
I haven't exactly heard that yet, particularly among people who really could move the needle on it, the leaders. But Senator Smith alluded to some sort of bubbling discussions of impeachment. I don't think we're even there yet, but the IRS liens, that's a civil matter currently, but in some cases those can turn criminal. And I'm not making any prediction here, but if it were to, I think that could change things. That could be something where people go, oh, our governor's facing time. That is not a good thing. And again, if you just tuned in that very second, I'm not saying that's happening, but if it were to, I think that could be something that changes the ballgame.
Absolutely. All right, Brad, I appreciate it. Good talking to you this morning. A couple of interesting things happening. We're going to really keep a good close eye on these COVID numbers. I guess I'm going to go back to checking the dashboard every day and watching the map every day, which I haven't done for a while. And maybe, I always keep my mask in my pocket anyway. Maybe I'm going to have to start pulling it out a little bit more. I don't know. But
unfortunately, I think
appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Howard.
I'm nervous about it. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. For Metro News, statewide correspondent Brad McElhenney here. So 2 stories I wanted to get into. The governor is greatly concerned about the Delta variant, spent a lot of time on it yesterday. The new map that came out every day this week, we've had less and less green. Now, less than half the map in West Virginia is green. Less than half the counties are in the green, all clear category. More than half the state is now in some form of COVID notation. And that includes our entire panhandle. Ohio dropped down to orange, I guess it was. Marshall County dropped down to gold, so, got a be aware of all that stuff. Now, coming up, we'll talk about the changes in the college football conferences. Scott Noty's going to join us on that. But before we get to that, we'll talk to Zach Petty and have some conversation about yesterday's weather events and what today's might be like. That's coming up next here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Friday.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News at W.
Don't try and squeeze everything in this break. I'll definitely take a second break after Brad so we can spread these spots out a bit.
It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Oh, hey, Doc.
Mr. Davis, how is your arm feeling?
Unfortunately, it hurts since the injury.
Well, let's see how we can safely manage your pain. You don't have a high risk for addiction, so let's talk about if pain meds are a good choice. Do you have any questions?
Are pain meds dangerous? How do I make sure I don't get addicted? How do I make sure my kids don't get a hold of the pills? Are there other ways I can get back to my normal activity besides pain meds?
Great questions. Let's talk about your options.
Talk to your doctor about safe pain management to ensure a healthy and happy recovery. Visit takechargeohio.org.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together we will get through this.
Hello, I'm Chuck Reddick, Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. We're working hard to get ready for tax filing season. You know who else is working hard? Identity thieves. Keep your computers and your mobile phones secure. Use antivirus software and strong passwords. Look out for email scams. Secure your home Wi-Fi with a password. Stay safe when you shop online. Look for HTTPS in the web address. See irs.gov for details.
African Safari Wildlife Park, the Midwest's only drive-through safari park, is home to many animals from around the world. Feed the animals up close and personal from the comfort of your own vehicle. Stroll the walkthrough with its many exciting animals on exhibit and enjoy educational animal programs. Visit the gift shop for souvenirs, food, and cold drinks. Don't miss out on the fun and family adventure and the unbeatable photo opportunities at African Safari Wildlife Park, located in Port Clinton, Ohio. For more details, visit AfricanSafariWildlifePark.com.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Island Pawnbrokers is now your local firearm dealer. In a pinch? Need cash quick? See us before going to the big box stores. Paying top dollar for firearms, gold, silver, tools, coins, and electronics. Don't lose your good credit. Let us give you instant cash. Stop by 2 North Broadway Street on Wheeling Island, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Island Pawnbrokers. Stop in for instant cash.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
The annual Wheelin' Feelin' Chili Cook-Off is right around the corner. Join us August 7th from noon to 6 for the Ohio Valley's best chili. Stop on down at Wheeling's Heritage Port to enjoy great food, an antique car show, and live music featuring the New Age Adinas and Eli and the Mojo Kings. The Wheeling Feeling Chili Cook-Off is an International Chili Society sanctioned event, and all proceeds benefit the United Way of the Upper Ohio Valley. Saturday, August 7th at Wheeling's Heritage Port from noon to 6, rain or shine. See you there.
Follow us on Facebook for the latest news, show updates, podcasts, alerts, and live video streams from the Valley's only network dedicated to local, community-driven talk radio, The Watchdog.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi, host of the CityNet Statewide Sports Line right here on Metro News. Join the Senator, Brad Howe, Coach Greg Hunter, and myself as we discuss the day's biggest sports stories, talking with coaches, former players, and sports writers from all over the state and across the nation, bringing you the latest from the high schools, colleges, and the pro game. So don't miss the CityNet Statewide Sports Line, weeknights at 6:06 here on the Metro News Radio Network and streaming live at WVMetronews.com.
You can watch a video cast of our show every morning on Facebook Live or on our website. Plus, check archives of all of our videos on the Watchdog YouTube channel. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
Peering out the window here at the home studio, it looks like the sun is trying to rise and make its way known through the fog I had earlier this morning. Let's see what the weather is going to be like and talk about what a doozy of a day it was yesterday with Zach Petty from the Big 7. Zach, I'll say one thing. You called it pretty right yesterday morning.
Yeah, it was more so one of those waiting games, especially as we were heading closer to noon, but I was glad that I was able to talk some of the threats during 7 News this morning yesterday, that isolated tornadoes were expected. And, man, talk about some head spinners into Harrison and Jefferson County yesterday.
you had predicted 2 rounds of storms, rain, I should say, serious rain. It was almost noon on the dot that I was driving up to the West Sports Bar for lunch, and the skies opened up with round number 1. It was just a gigantic gully washer. Just the rain came from nowhere, started pouring down, could hardly see. The roads were like in 1 minute were getting covered. It was just a huge gully washer. And then it stopped. By the time I got home, it was sunny and pretty nice. And then you could see the skies getting dark again. And then, of course, the evening, I don't know what I'll call them, festivities isn't the right word, but
the skies let loose.
It just went crazy. Yeah, let loose. You're right.
It definitely. The big thing too is one thing that I was always told at school: no matter the risk, the Storm Prediction Center issues severe storm risk, whether it's a marginal or slight risk. You have to take them seriously, even though it might cover 6,000 miles of the country. You never know, especially if it's in your area. You definitely want to take it seriously, and luckily we were able to do so. And again, try to provide the most accurate and up-to-date information as the day develops. So man, oh man, what a washout for some folks, especially up north, and hope everything is okay. Thoughts and prayers up north with the survey results expected to come through later this afternoon. The National Weather Service plans to survey the storm, the tornado reported into, I think it was Wintersville area, as well as over towards New Athens, southern Harrison, and northern Belmont County. So I'll be anxiously awaiting the results from their conducted survey. But completely different this morning, compared to last night.
Yeah, let me stick with the yesterday just for a second.
Sure. Yeah.
There is an official determination that has to be made if there were tornadoes or not. I mean, we can say there were, but there aren't until the National Weather Service looks at. I don't know. You would know what they are, but there are certain factors they have to look at. But certainly from the pictures that I saw that were posted on social media and through you guys, what I saw yesterday looked like real tornadoes. As I said earlier, sometimes we hear people talk about a tornado in our local area, and the pictures see sort of swirling clouds, but not that clearly defined funnel and tornado. But again, as a layman looking at those pictures, this looked like the movie Twister, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you hit the nail right on the head, Howard. You can see the pictures and how the meteorologists, as well as how the National Weather Service conducts it. They say either radar confirmed, which means they're noticing a couplet, or whenever the winds are going to and from the radar, where you would have that center or pocket of rotation. If they have that, then they would say radar confirmed. But since the fact that they plan to go out and survey, and then they'll determine, okay, what was the strength? What were the peak winds based off of velocity, as well as certain thresholds and criteria based off of the damage reported to understand and identify and diagnose the strength of the tornadoes. And that's based off of the enhanced Fujita scale. And some of the different determinations, I have that data down here. Just in terms of, okay, what's the preliminary or the lowest rating tornadoes rating for a wind gust would be between 65 and 85 miles per hour. And the typical damage that's associated with that is shingles getting blown off of rooftops, gutters getting pulled away from the building, as well as branches being broken. But to be honest with you, Howard, I would not be surprised. Now, again, this is all speculation just based off of my views of some of the damage that we were able to get shot for the morning, as well as just some of the other things that I was reading. I would not be surprised if we don't see them determine that there was a level 3 and an EF3 or 2 tornado, which is almost getting to the point of a major tornado in the Ohio Valley yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see what their results. Of course, they're the experts. but we're secondhand to them, so it'll be interesting. I do plan to reach out and work with them to provide any sort of information that they need from our part, from viewer pictures and other data that we were able to capture from yesterday to assist them in their survey. But man, oh man, what a powerful system! And I agree with you. The pictures, your classic twisters, especially from the movie, almost seemed like Hollywood.
It really did. Well, let's put yesterday behind us and see what we have to look forward to today. The good news is, I guess, all of that serious kind of weather is behind us now. Yes.
Oh yeah, it is completely out of the question, out of the picture. A fantastic day is actually in store throughout the Ohio Valley. Now, it's kind of hard to determine if we're cloudy or not. The visible satellite isn't fully up, but I expect it to be. And you look outside, and it's like, is it cloudy or is it just so bright that it looks almost white outside whenever you look up into the skies? But I do expect sky coverage to improve. So the talk of the Friday, Howard, is going to be improving as well as more so a transition day. So sky coverage is going to continue to improve. So if it's cloudy outside right now, by this afternoon and evening, it's going to turn sunny. Muggy levels are high right now. Muggy levels will be dropping back into the comfortable and very pleasant by this afternoon. And the other thing I call it improving, we're going to go from the upper 80s for high temperatures that we had earlier on this week down into the upper 70s and pretty comfortable as we head into the afternoon. So a transition day into some pretty nice weather as we head into your birthday on Saturday.
And the temperature is going to stay fairly nice. We don't really get above 80 over the next 7 days, or at least not till the tail end of the 7-day forecast, right?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty comfortable. Muggy levels will stay pretty comfortable, if not downright pleasant. It won't be no weather you can wear or instant sweats when you walk outside. It'll be pretty favorable and comfortable over the next several days, even in through Saturday and Sunday, with most of the day on Sunday, Howard, too, being relatively nice. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny. Similar conditions on Saturday to Sunday, but a few showers could develop late in the day. Certainly not a washout, but definitely another day where you can get out and enjoy all sorts of fun activities in throughout the Ohio Valley. The Grecian Festival is going on right now. You have Ogilvy. You can go for a hike and view some of the glorious landscapes throughout Ohio and West Virginia. Just a great weekend to be outside and enjoy, and especially since we're running through the tail end of summer now.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, tomorrow's my birthday, and then hard to believe, but Sunday brings us the month of August. So looks like August will come in. There is no such cliche as this, but August will come in like a lamb. It looks like nice and pleasant and sunny. I like that.
Very, very much so agree with you. If there wasn't that cliche, maybe you and I can start it. Maybe we'll get it to stick.
There we go. We could. All right. Hey, listen, a good job yesterday with all the work, the prediction in the morning and the coverage over the Big Seven. A really excellent job covering the storms while they were underway. And
thank you.
You and Dr. Dave did a really good job. And I want to commend you for that.
Really appreciate that. We don't get the praise and everything often, but I really do appreciate it. We put a lot of hard work and effort into it, so we're trying to do our best to keep everyone safe. But thank you, Howard. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Have yourself a great weekend, and we will talk to you again on Monday.
Sounds good. Happy early birthday. If I don't message you tomorrow, you can hear it over the radio waves now. Happy early birthday, Howard.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Zach Petty from the Big Seven. So, miserable day yesterday, better day today, and that's the good news. Still, according to Storm Tracker 7, the airport says 67 and cloudy. I've got 69, and the fog earlier is fading here at home studios, and it's a bit sunny outside. Let's take care of some business, and I got a few little odds and ends I want to get to when we come back. We're going to talk about college football conferences in the next hour of the show.
New Belgium Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available in West Virginia and
Excuse me.
Amber Ale is now available at local retailers. Please don't drink and drive, and drink responsibly. From your friends at Wine and Beverage Merchants.
African Safari Wildlife Park, the Midwest's only drive-through safari park, is home to many animals from around the world. Feed the animals up close and personal from the comfort of your own vehicle. Stroll the walkthrough with its many exciting animals on exhibit and enjoy educational animal programs. Visit the gift shop for souvenirs, food, and cold drinks. Don't miss out on the fun and family adventure and the unbeatable photo opportunities at African Safari Wildlife Park, located in Port Clinton, Ohio. For more details, visit africansafariwildlifepark.com.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
You can vote in our Watchdog poll and read commentary in our blogs on watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
The Watchdog poll this morning has to do with our next subject. Coming up after the news, we're going to talk to Scott Nody from the Big Seven about this conference realignment stuff that's going on. It looks like Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12. They want to go to the SEC. That's going to create some reshuffling all the way around, and probably one way or to other will affect WVU. If it affects WVU, which conference would you like WVU to be a part of? That's the poll over at watchdognetwork.com. ACC, Big 10, SEC, stay in the Big 12 or some other conference. You can go and vote, watchdognetwork.com, the poll that's there on our front page. Right now, most of the votes going for the Big 10, followed by the ACC, and a vote for stay in the Big 12 as well. But where do you think WVU should end up? Where would you like them to end up? Go to the watchdognetwork.com website, vote in our Watchdog poll. Which conference do you think WVU should end up in? So that's going to be what we're going to talk about next hour with Scott Nody a little bit. Then we'll have the Friday Funny, some entertainment news, and McCabe and I in the final hour of the usual Friday roundtable of Ohio Valley News. It's all coming up here on the Friday edition of the Watchdog Morning Show. It's just about 8 o'clock, and ABC covers the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News.
I gave you Scott's number, correct? Okay, you give him a call. You might want to call him now just to make sure he's awake, since he didn't wake up yesterday.